we have His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum. Good morning and thank you so much for joining us, Your Excellency, this morning.
Morning. Thank you very much.
Well, let's start off first by saying congratulations in the sense that your efforts are indeed starting to pay off, and we want to recognize your courageous efforts in fighting insecurity. Also, not forgetting to mention Nigerian military who have equally been at the forefront with you. It's been noted that in the past 3 days, you visited and overseen these affected areas. Can you quickly, please, give us an overview of the security situation in Borno State in respect to the recent attacks?
Thank you very much. Last 2 months ago, we held a security meeting in Borno State where the traditional rulers led by His Eminence, the Shehu of Borno, and others with the security agencies in Borno State held a meeting and confirmed the rising cases of insurgency in Borno State. This was duly reported to the federal government of Nigeria and indeed all other security agencies. Equal to this our own meeting, we have had series of attacks in Borno State, especially the Boko Haram and Israel have dislodged many locations in Borno State. But the most recent worrisome phenomenon is that of Marte. As I earlier said so, Marte Local Government. Marte is one of the local governments in Nigeria that was hitherto displaced completely by the insurgents. However, with the support of the Nigerian armed forces, we were able to resettle Marte communities about 4 years ago. Unfortunately, this community was completely dislodged few days ago, and the community have completely relocated to Dikwa, a distance of about 24 kilometers. After extensive consultations with the Nigerian military, I came to Marte, and then what we have seen in ground is very obnoxious because more than 20,000 heads of households were displaced. In terms of number of people that were displaced is getting to about 80,000. And this is the only local government, this is the only town that is right now standing in the entire local government area. This is our own problem. Next, New Marte was also attacked. This is another problem. And another worrisome phenomenon is also in Wulgo, where the MNJTF were completely dislodged by the ISWAF and Boko Haram members. I'm pleased to inform you that I've visited all the 3 locations, and I've spent nights in all the places, and now I'm in Gala. This is my 4th day, proceeding to other LGS. This is the situation on ground as of now. But I also want to inform you that based on our own interactions with the Nigerian army, the military, the Nigerian army has taken a decisive decision, thereby relocating the GOC 70 from Maiduguri to Gala, to Dikwa. And right now, soldiers are fully back to Gabor, to Marte. And soldiers were not displaced in Ran, but they were reinforced by additional troops. On my own part as the governor of Borno State, I complimented the efforts of the Nigerian army, of the armed forces. With the support of the armed forces, we came up, we came with about 800 to 1,000 civilian JTF hunters and vigilantes in order to complement the efforts of the Nigerian army, so that inshallah they will, complement their own efforts. This is the current situation we have in these critical locations. While in other critical locations like Isge, Yabteke, and Bita, that were attacked by the Nigerian military, the armed forces have done well. They have gone back to their destinations, and they are doing well. I believe the situation is about to be under control.
Right. Thank you, Excellency, for bringing us up to speed with regards what the situation is in these different communities. And also just to again, acknowledge the fact that you've been visiting from Marte to Wugo. You've been visiting and even spent the night with the help of the military officers to ensure that you feel the pulse of the people. Why would you say that it was very important for you to visit these various communities? What have you learned, from the people, how they are being affected, psychologically? What have you learned in the course of these visits, and why was it very important to you and to the people that you visited and, spent time in these communities?
How to strengthen the resilience of the community, because the community are very important. Communities are very important in order to reduce the insecurity in the state. What I did is not only to strengthen the resilience of the community, but we mobilized our local volunteers that will support the Nigerian military. This is very important. So apart from strengthening the resilience of the community, most importantly, we move with about 1,000 civilian JTF hunters and vigilantes to support the Nigerian army. And I'm pleased to note that the Nigerian army is quite supportive of my efforts in complementing their good doings. So I spent the night in Marte. I spent a night in Ran. My actions are not in vain. I did this one first and foremost to strengthen the resilience of the community, and secondly, to complement the effort of the Nigerian army by adding some forces to what they have, so that they will also participate in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations. And the leadership is my example. I went there so that people will look at me, people will see me, I want to persuade them so that they will be on their ground. Otherwise, if we face displacements, massive displacements, the youth will be recruited by the insurgents, ISWAP and Boko Haram. So that then their numbers will increase. Time will come that we can't even fight them again because of their numbers. So displacement is not good. We must do everything possible within our reach in order to stop further displacements.
Now, Your Excellency, some security analysts have said that the reason why we have an uptick in violence in parts of Borno State is because of the controversial reintegration of ex-insurgents. What safeguards are in place to ensure that the reintegration of repentant Boko Haram members does not compromise community safety or deepen resentment among IDPs and victims?
It's not right. Within the last 2 years, about 300,000 repentant Boko Haram members and families have surrendered. I cannot completely say that 100% of those people that have surrendered are doing the right thing. But I want to assure you that over 99% are doing well and are not participating in the ongoing terrorism. Because let me tell you one very important thing. Insurgency will never be ended by kinetic measures alone. We must ensure that the non-kinetic measures are also properly put in place. What I mean by non-kinetic measures are social, political, and economic dimensions of the crisis. Our ongoing non-kinetic measures has yielded positive results with the support of the Nigerian military. So yes, I believe among the 300,000 or more that have repented, I cannot rule out the possibility of few of them going back to the bush. And I want to also inform you that we have informants and collaborators within the Nigerian armed forces, within the politicians, and within the communities. What we shall do is to strengthen our intelligence and to deal with them ruthlessly. But the non-kinetic measures have yielded positive results, and some of them are supporting us in fighting back the insurgents. So this is very important thing that we have to commend, and I want to commend the Nigerian armed forces for the support that they have been rendering to our non-kinetic measures.
All right. I mean, you're known as one of the most hardworking governors in the north and also in Nigeria. How has this impacted heavily on the socio-economic aspect of Borno State? I mean, whether we like it or not, you have engaged in infrastructural development, healthcare, and so on and so forth. But it seems like this has impacted heavily on the growth and the progress. And can you bring us up to speed as well, how this has affected progress, especially in Borno State, especially for everyday life?
Before the year 2022, we lost about 5,000 classrooms to insurgents. We lost about 300 healthcare facilities to insurgents, and we harvested the total number of 100,000 widows and orphans. We lost about 1,600 water distribution points to insurgents. But we have almost built back better all the facilities that were destroyed. And recently what has happened has also destroyed some facilities. But the numbers are not quite high compared to what has happened before. I want to be very frank. And I want to assure you that few facilities that were destroyed can be rebuilt very soon with the support of the federal government as well as the state government. In terms of socio-economic activities, whether we like it or not, insurgency will cripple the socio-economic activities in the state. But we are coming back stronger. Borno State government has established many platforms in order to increase the means of livelihood of the people. The Bank of Industry is doing well. They have given us some certain support. The federal government under what we call the social safety network are also helping us. Borno State is also doing what it could do. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and others are also SEMA and NEMA are also complementing our efforts. So I want to assure you that in terms of means of livelihood, we are doing better than before, and inshallah, the situations will be under control.
All right. Whilst I thank you very much for sharing with us your, the thoughts regarding how we're faring in terms of the challenges. You've just spoken to us about the socioeconomic impact, but have you also considered the psychological impact? I know you've had one-on-one with the citizens, you've spoken to them as you've been traveling around the affected communities. How has it psychologically impacted people, and are there provisions for how we can help them walk through the trauma?
In fact, people who are traumatized, this is right. But over a period of time, citizens of Borno State have built confidence and have built resilience. So within the last 10 years, what we did first and foremost is to provide enough psychosocial support to the communities under our agencies in the state, especially Agency for Sustainable Development Partnership and Humanitarian Coordination is doing very well. We are also receiving some support through non-governmental organizations that are trying to improve on the psychosocial, provide psychosocial support, while our Ministry of Health and others are also doing very well. But most importantly, my mission to all these affected areas is a morale booster that has comforted the citizens. And I will not relent in my effort to go into the hinterlands, spend nights with them. Right now, this is my 4th day, and I want to assure you that I will not be back to my degree until the next few days again, in order to build confidence and also provide enough psychosocial support to the communities.
Now, Your Excellency, as we speak, the presidency has often said, since this year, that governors should do more to address insecurity in their states. And one presidential aide actually challenged what governors are doing with their security vote. Having said that, would you say you're getting the necessary support from the federal government? And there's also been calls for state policing. Are you an advocate for state police?
Thank you very much. As far as Borno State government is concerned, we used to get support from the federal government. I want to most sincerely acknowledge the financial support that we are receiving from the federal government. And as far as Borno State government is concerned, I'm judiciously utilizing all the resources that is being given to Borno State government. After the recent attacks, we made a plea to the federal government and indeed the Nigerian army. Honestly speaking, they have taken some decisive measures. Right now, the GOC of 70 has relocated from Maiduguri Metropolitan to one of the affected LGS, which is Dikwa. And the brigade commander in Dikwa is now moving to Gaborungala. And all those areas that I'm visiting is with the Nigerian Army. I've seen the commitment from the side of the chief of army staff, because I'm seeing numbers of army coming to the affected areas, and some equipments are also coming. I want to give them the benefit of doubt that they are doing their best. Most importantly, I also want to commend the Intelligence Committee. 2 days ago, we had a meeting, and the federal government is now trying to establish what we call forest guards. This is very important. Establishing forest guard will be a game changer. But I want to also give some early warning sign that this forest guard should be recruited from the communities within the states. Otherwise, we shouldn't get maximum benefit from this project. Secondly, I don't think even state police can do better than the forest guard now. While state police will take a very longer time to establish them, to train them, and to keep them. I'm advocating that everything should be done within the shortest possible time to establish the forest guard so that we'll face the insurgents. So I want to commend the Intelligence Committee. I want to commend the Intelligence Committee for a job well done. But I also want to commend the President because he has been doing some things in order to tackle this situation. So people, Nigerians should be patient enough so that we shall give them time. I believe with what I've said, something shall be done. And then my few advices to the government of Nigeria and federal government is that, one, we should prioritize security. Because the nexus between peace and security, peace and development, peace, security and development need not to be overemphasized. While we are doing road construction, I agree. We are building homes, I agree. But most importantly, let us prioritize security. Let both Borno State governments, national and subnational, put together enough resources on ground so that we can procure equipment. The army doesn't have the necessary equipment on ground to fight the insurgents. And I want to also inform you that right now, the insurgents are using technology to fight the soldiers on ground. A few days ago, I had a meeting with the chief of army staff. The chief of army staff said that he's looking for about 32 drones, and he will end the insurgency. He is right. Each drone is costing about $5.5 million. Why can't we put resources so that we shall buy these drones? Let us prioritize insecurity. And another issue that we shall look into is the issue of procurement of military equipment, both hardware and software. Let us remove contractocracy in the procurement of the military equipment. Let us deal directly from government to government so that we shall get value for money. Otherwise, most of the contractors, I'm not saying all, once you give them money, they will not even buy the equipment. And some of the monies are going into the torturous bureaucratic melting pots of the ministerial systems. If we want to do right, we can put heads together and this madness will come to an end within the next 6 months. But the right thing must be done. Federal government and state government must come together. We need to prioritize security, and then we need not to politicize insecurity, which is very important. The federal government has to listen to us. We shall offer our services and advice on how possibly best we can move forward. And most importantly, the procurement process has to be looked into in such a way that the federal government will procure equipment directly from government to government, while the forest guard shall be established immediately. We shall coalesce together and look for funding, both through the government and private sector. And inshallah, all these things will come to an end.
All right.
I mean, you've talked about the federal government, and you've talked about ensuring that they, give the necessary support. I'm also aware that 19 governors, especially from the north, recently met, and conversations were to the National Assembly to hasten every legal processing or means to ensure that state policing is indeed very effective. But I want to get your view, Mr. Governor. Do you also agree that a state of emergency should be called, especially on northern states that are bedeviled by the rising spate of insecurity?
What do you mean by state of emergency?
What's your take? I'm asking, what's your take? Do you also support that a state of emergency should be called on northern states that are facing...
What do you mean by the state of emergency?
State of emergency meaning that the federal government should beam its focus on the northern states, pause on other things that are being done, and tackle insecurity headlong without pausing until it's...
Not only the northern states. I'm advocating for the entire country. So, Nigeria is one indivisible nation. I'm not saying that some areas are peaceful than others, but we have to take decisive measures in such a way that the insecurity in northern Nigeria will not spread to other parts of the country. So, but in terms of state policing, I think Borno State is one of the states in Nigeria that did not support state policing. Why? Because my thinking is that, in Nigeria we had a lot of problems. We had nepotism, tribalism, among others. And I know, because I don't want the federal government to easily equip some states so that, that this would also enhance communal clashes. People will take AK-47 guns and kill anyhow. So that is why Borno State government, I think, is the only state that has opted out in terms of establishing state policy. I'm not saying that federal government should not establish state police. If you want to establish state police, it's a very good idea. But we need time. Let us strengthen the existing federal police systems. They should be well equipped. They should be given the opportunity to carry bigger weapons. Then we shall be speaking about state police maybe in the next 4 or 5 years. But right now, the Nigerian police are ill-equipped. So let us also support the Nigerian police force, which is very important. And then establish the forest guards on time. This is a low-hanging fruit that we can work on time. But most especially as a governor, whatever decision that was made by my fellow colleagues, 19 states, I shall abide by their own decision because it's a forum, it's a non-partisan forum, and we must work with them. But my plea is that let's deal with this matter decisively. The president of Nigeria should listen to those that can distinguish the right and left, those that can tell him the right thing, not psychopaths, which is very important. He has the large heart to do the right thing, but he needs to understand what is happening on the ground. A few days ago, I said there's a resurgence in Borno State. And I know also commended the federal government that they are doing very well. Let us come together and then resolve this crisis. When I said this thing, some people are saying that there's no insecurity in Borno State. So these are one of our own problems. So we should not politicize insecurity. What I said now is that I commended the Nigerian army. They are doing very well, I told you. Honestly speaking. But the president should listen to those that can tell him the right thing. And I had a meeting with the chief of army staff. He said that he doesn't want a cover to be given to him in terms of equipment. Let the federal government deal directly with other nations so that equipment will be procured government to government. So our problems are one, psychopathy. People don't say the right thing. People are staying in their comfort zone, trying to give misinformation and miscommunications. The army knows what it takes to deal with the insurgents. The president should also listen to them. And we had a meeting with them. I've seen zeal and commitment from them as well as from the intelligence committee. This is one option. Then, secondly, we should remove bureaucracy in the procurement of military hardwares and softwares. Thirdly, both subnationals and the national government will come together, put resources, and buy the technological equipment that will end this insurgency. Then, above all, which is very important, the relationship between the national and subnational has to be strengthened. in order to end the insurgency. Then the last but not the least, the non-kinetic measures. The kinetic measures alone will not end the insurgency. We must look into the socio-political and economic dimension of this crisis. Poverty, we have to address it. Good roads, infrastructure, we need it. All these things are needed in order to end the insurgency. But with what I've seen, it's not very difficult for us to deal with the situation on ground. We can work together and we can end this madness. But we need to say the right thing. We need to remove contractocracy in the system of procurement process and ensure that the federal government will buy equipment directly from other countries, which is very important. While the army and the police should be well equipped also. We have to buy these drones. If the drone is $5.5 million, why can't we buy them 30? Why can't we profit what we are doing for the next 2-3 months so that all these items shall be procured? I know a plea has been made for contributions during our last federal allocation. We all agreed that we shall combat, and since Mr. President, I plead to him that while all of us will put heads together so that the equipment will be procured, but we want to now also advise Mr. President that if he wants to procure equipment, let him procure the equipment based on direct approach, which is government to government, removing contractocracy. After procuring all what we need, if they need, they can release other funds. Otherwise, things will not be right. But lastly, I want to tell you that based on what I've seen on ground, I've seen commitment from the part of the federal government. I've seen commitment from the part of the Nigerian Army, police, DSS, and others. All those locations that I'm going, it will never be peaceful without the support of the Nigerian Armed Forces. We are working together. So let us give them the benefit of doubt. Nigerians should be patient and give support to the federal government and state government so that together we shall deal with these matters quietly rather than lamentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think just to get a sense, I mean, you've mentioned what the challenges are, you know, how we should eliminate the procurement process. We should refine the procurement process for equipment. We've talked about, I mean, you would agree that maybe allocation for defense isn't actually the main problem, but then we need to dig in deeper. And you've also talked about the contribution of the federal government and how they've been very supportive in helping to fight and combat insecurity in Borno State. But do we have a timeline within which we're expected to see some measure of stability, you know, and when we can safely maybe say we've been able to overcome the really hard parts?
With our renewed commitment, I think we can see light at the end of the tunnel in the next 3 months.
All right, the next 3 months. Thank you very much.
Inshallah.
And we certainly
right now, inshallah, things in Borno State will be okay.
All right. And one final question is, we always talk about insecurity from how it affects the citizens and talk about the government, the role that the government has to play. But uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. How are you, Your Excellency?
You can see me now. It's not an easy task for me because I live about 4 days my comfort zone and I'm not willing to return. Yes, you know, you can. It's not easy, but leadership requires courage. Leadership requires determination. So we have about 8 million people in Borno State. I cannot risk the life of 8 million people while I'm sitting down in my comfort zone. I had a lot of advice from people that I should not go there, I should not go there. This will never be peaceful, so I will go there. So if God has said that I will die, nobody can stop me from dying. So I want to assure the people of Borno State and Nigerians that we shall do everything possible to end this madness. And to assure you that no stone will be left unturned in order to deal with the insecurity that we are facing now. What matters is not only the Nigerian army, not only the Nigerian armed forces, the communities are also very important in fighting back the insurgents. So we have to fight back. But what we need from the side of the federal government and Nigeria is to give us support and then give us the access so that we can go into the hinterlands and complement their efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Executive
much.
Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum. Thank you for your time with us. And we certainly wish Borno people all the best. And we hope that in the next 3 months, just like you've said, that we will see positive feedback and that there will be a sense of returning to normalcy. Thank you for granting us some time today, and we look forward to speaking with you again.